From the day we get our first job, we're basically taught one thing. You trade your time for money. That's the deal. But what if that whole deal is kind of flawed? What if there's another way? A sort of mathematical backdoor that lets you build a full salary, but without the job. All right, let's get into it. Think about it. Every single day, you're making this trade, right? You're giving up 8, maybe 10, maybe even more hours of your one precious life for a paycheck. And we all just kind of accept this as normal. But when you really break it down, it's basically a rental agreement for your life. The good news is, you can stop being the renter and actually become the owner. So this really boils down to a choice between two paths. You've got path number 1, the one we're all taught. You just keep renting out your life, hour by hour, year after year. Or there's path number 2. You start hiring. You hire an employee who works for you 24/7, never calls in sick, never sleeps, and get this, they give you their entire paycheck. And who is this magical employee? Well, it's your money. Okay, this right here is the absolute key. It's a mental shift you have to make. Most of us see our savings account like a storage unit for cash. It just sits there. But you've got to stop thinking that way. Instead, I want you to picture it as an active workforce. Every single dollar you save isn't just a dollar. It's a tiny employee, a shadow employee, that you've just hired to go out into the world and earn more money for you. And look, this isn't just some cutesy metaphor. This is the fundamental difference in mindset. It's what separates people who are always struggling financially from those who achieve real freedom. It's about making that leap from being the worker to being the owner of the workers. So for the rest of this, let's just forget about those big abstract goals like net worth. Who even knows what that means day to day, right? The real tangible goal here is salary replacement. We're going to track step by step how your new shadow employee can go from paying for, say, your Netflix subscription to paying your rent, and then eventually replacing your entire job, one bill at a time. All right, so let's get into it. Stage 1. I call this the intern phase, or maybe more accurately, the slog. And I'm just going to be real with you. This is the hardest part. It is painfully slow, it could be super frustrating, and honestly, it's where most people just throw in the towel. Let's just look at the cold hard math for a second. Let's say you're investing $500 a month and you get a pretty standard 7% return. To hit your first 100 grand, it takes almost 8 years. 8. It feels like you're just spinning your wheels, going absolutely nowhere. And what's worse is that during that whole time, you're doing all the heavy lifting. You'll put in about 46 grand from your own paycheck. Your little intern, your shadow employee, only kicks in about 54 grand in growth. I mean, they're barely pulling their weight. It's like they're just fetching coffee. So the big question is, how on earth do you stay motivated when the numbers feel so tiny? Well, you have to play a little mental trick on yourself. You have to completely change how you measure success. Stop looking at the big total. Instead, focus on what your little employee can do for you right here, right now. Here's exactly how you do it. Let's say you get to 50K invested. Your portfolio is now generating around $300 a month. Now, that's not going to change your life, right? It's not a salary, but it is your cell phone bill, it is your Netflix and Spotify, and it is your gym membership, all of them combined. You can look at those bills and literally say, I don't pay for these anymore. My shadow employee pays for them. That feeling, that little win is absolutely everything. It's how you survive the slog. But if you can just push through that slog, once you cross that $100,000 finish line, oh man, everything changes. Welcome to stage 2, the assistant. Your intern just got a promotion, and this is where the math starts to get really, really fun. This is where you really feel the magic of compounding. Remember how it took 8 long years to get that first 100K? Well, guess how long the next 100K takes? Only about 5 years. Why the big speed up? Because now your employee isn't just an intern, they're an assistant, and they're finally starting to do some serious work for you. Fast forward a bit, by the time your portfolio grows to somewhere between 300 and 400 grand, it's spinning off some serious cash, all on its own. We're talking $21,000 to $28,000 a year. That's a part-time job salary, and you didn't have to lift a finger to earn it. And this is why I call this stage the safety zone. Think about it. Your shadow employee is now making enough money to cover your single biggest monthly bill, your rent or your mortgage. When that happens, it just fundamentally changes your relationship with your job, with money, with everything.
When you know for a fact that your roof is paid for no matter what, this idea becomes your reality. Losing your job suddenly goes from being a catastrophe to just an inconvenience. You can finally start making choices based on what you want to do, not what you're afraid might happen. It's a huge psychological unlock.
And that brings us to the final stage, stage 3, the CEO. Your little employee has climbed the corporate ladder, and they are now the CEO of your financial life. This is the part where you don't just feel safe anymore. No, this is where you've basically won the game. This is the moment we've been working towards. I call it the great crossover. It's that beautiful, surreal moment when your portfolio, which is just sitting there, by the way, is now earning more money in a year than you are from your actual 9-to-5 job. Think about that. Your money is now officially, mathematically working harder than you are. Let's put some real numbers on it. At around $650,000 invested, assuming an 8% return, your shadow CEO is bringing in $52,000 a year. For a huge number of people in this country, that is a full-time salary, a salary you don't have to work for. And this is the ultimate unlock. You officially have walk-away money. You no longer have to put up with a terrible boss, a toxic work culture, any of it. You just don't need the paycheck anymore. And the funny thing is, when you don't need the money, that's when you have all the power. You can negotiate harder, you can take smart risks, you can finally do the work you actually want to do. Okay, I know what some of you are thinking. There's this big, scary question hanging over all of this, right? This sounds awesome, but what happens when the market inevitably crashes? Doesn't my employee get a massive pay cut or even get fired? Well, here's the crazy, counterintuitive truth. If you're still in the building phase, stage 1 or 2, you should be on your knees praying for a crash. Seriously, a market crash just means that all the best assets are suddenly on a massive sale. Every dollar you invest now buys way more. It lets you hire more of these little workers for cheaper than ever before. A crash isn't a disaster, it's a hiring spree. It's the biggest opportunity you'll get to speed up the whole plan. So when you strip it all away, it really comes down to this one simple choice. You can keep doing what you've always done, renting out the precious, limited hours of your one life, or you can start hiring your replacement. You can start building that shadow workforce that's going to buy back your time and pay for your freedom.
Look, this whole journey, it doesn't start with some huge lump sum of money. It starts with $1, the very first dollar that you decide to stop spending and start hiring. The first dollar you turn from just a coin into your very first employee. So the only real question is, who are you going to hire today?